All right, Lilliana, let's get it going. So your last name is hidden. We are good there. Why isn't it letting me full screen? Okay, I guess this is what we're working with. Okay, so let's go ahead and share. Let's get my timer on too. We got a little kitty cat who came just as I started the reading. Little Esme, little Cancer baby, Cancer, Neptunian Cancer. Okay, 1 second. So here we go. So yeah, let's go ahead and share the screen. See the chart. That's not the chart. Yeah, so unfortunately my program goes back and forth, and right now I'm not able to do a full screen, which is really awesome. It's actually not awesome. But yeah, so I know that you have a understanding of astrology. You've had many readings. I will say that since you do have a follow-up, I do tend to do my readings in a somewhat similar fashion, regardless of what one might know about all their placements, just because I have sort of a different style in terms of solving the puzzle. Like even when I get readings, like from other astrologers, I really enjoy like hearing, even if it's like about my Sag moon, I enjoy hearing a different take, because one person's experience of like of that energy and what they emphasize, like there's so much that can be said. So I'm just going to let you know that beforehand, that we can definitely, like you said something about Palace. I don't really work that much with Palace. I definitely work with Juno, Black Moon Lilith, Eris conjunct your Venus, like these are all things that we can go for in further detail in the actual follow-up. But I like to kind of zoom out into the big picture. So just kind of, that's how it is. Let me have a sip of my, actually you can't see me. So right after that, the question that is so obvious, but yet so overlooked. And by the way, we have a Regulus sun, conjunct Regulus. So this is a very prominent degree of Leo, with fixed star Regulus, the king or slash queen, right? In shining armor, like the one that the one that everyone sees, while Antares at 9, between 9 and 10, Sag is the more hidden king slash queen. So that's gonna give a very oh wait, I am crazy. Why is it's 29 Pisces? You see how that could be confusing? It's like turning the water signs into red. It just started doing that. It's super annoying. And then the fire signs are blue. Like, what the heck? And then Scorpio is blue. It doesn't make any sense. But no. Well, you're born 2 days after me, so very interesting stuff there. So yeah, delete the regular stuff. But yeah, so a Pisces sun, at the 29th degree, you're right before the Aries point, so it's gonna be a very strong sun. Cusps do exist in my opinion, and I think that you would probably be a very good example of someone who's very close to that 0 Aries point. Which to me, people who have this degree at 29 degrees, they're in the last sign. Of course, you could think like, okay, maybe this is this person's last lifetime, and we have a lot in common actually. You could think something like that, right? That it could be like one of the very advanced soul who's kind of like in their later incarnations and kind of just figuring things out on Earth. Now I also noticed, the Pluto on the IC is conjunct the South node. We have that in common too. I have Pluto on the IC square the nodes, so that's it's interesting. You've come to me with that in mind. What I can tell you about this energy is that it creates childhood scenarios where you feel like, and it's linked to past lives. So the fact that your moon is square the nodes potentially it's in your moon's in the 12th house. I would say that there's probably issues with the karmic issues with the mother. Maybe there's trauma from the mother. And that manifests in a way where you know, being a Pisces, even though it's not your moon sign, it's still very sensitive. If you're a Pisces sun, you're still very sensitive. You could be someone who really internalized a lot of shame and a lot of traumatic events in childhood. And they're all with the South Node, they're all based on kind of past life karma and stuff of that nature, right? So I wanted to just like put that out there right away. And also the fact that the vertex is there. To me, that the vertex, I can look at it in a few different ways, but I definitely would think of it in the context of all this together, right? I see all that 5th house energy, which is just like begging you. Where's the North Node? Okay, it's North Node is it's there. In the 9th, 10th house and fixed in whole signs. But around the 10th house cusp, really wanting you to kind of, the way I see it, move away, it's like you're I feel like a big part of your karma is related to like overcoming whatever this trauma is, whether it is trauma with the mom, but the moon, in the 12th house, can represent repressed emotions, right? Should I show my face now? Okay, we'll go back and forth between the chart and my fucked up hair face. So yeah, like that's like the first things I noticed. Usually I start with kind of like the sun, moon, like kind of in the ascendant, kind of how those play together, and then I work my way out. I do it however the fuck I want to do it, But that's the first thing that really stands out. So like then the vertex there, right? The vertex being very close to all this energy in the 4th house, which is like in Scorpio. There's definitely some tense energy in your family. That maybe even if you've buried some of that, like I also have mine in Scorpio too, so it's like I totally have a lot of this in common with you. Even if there's a lot that's under the surface, right? So there's a lot that you need to do, and I just got this message from me, so this could be like a synchronicity that basically your career and your grand success, and it has nothing to do with like you like not being successful, like how it's gonna like define your success, but it's like your level of success, like in your career, in your dharma, like in you really achieving your highest your highest potential, right? That is very much linked to overcoming this lower part of the chart. It's very much linked to this trauma you have, right? And what happens when you have moon, hold up one sec. So the moon's not actually squaring it. It's the, wait, what is this telling me? Yeah, it is, but it's not elemental. They're both in water signs, but still, it still is a square, 7 degrees. So with the nodes, I'll definitely count that. With others, I might look at it differently, but yeah, basically overcoming this these childhood traumatic events, and that have had like an impact on your emotional self, right? When you have Venus, you don't have moon square Pluto. That's the thing. Like it's way out of orb, but you do have moon square South Node, which is conjunct Pluto. So like the South Node is impacted by Pluto. So the emotions are definitely like it can create someone where there's some level of like emotional, like there can be like repressed energies, right? And it's in Cancer. So like the first thing I think of is like someone who maybe didn't get their emotional needs met because they probably had, Cancers, obviously moons are so sensitive. Being a Pisces Cancer, you're extremely like 10 out of 10 sensitive, right? And Leo, many people don't know this, is a very sensitive sign. Very sensitive. I dated a girl who like had like everything in Leo, and she's one of the most sensitive girls ever known. So yeah, just being having that double water as your sun and your moon, obviously like there's a nice trine between them, which is an outstanding aspect. I don't really have to really go into that one. But just kind of like a smooth flow between the feminine and the masculine parts of you. Very feminine, you're very, very in tune with your feminine. But I think that there's just like, this is just the potential for emotional issues. That the whole point of it is that you're a very advanced soul. I don't say this to many people. You can watch all my readings and you'll see that I say it to only a number of people. And that you've chosen this karma. You've chosen to have whatever happen, so that you can overcome it and grow as a soul. If 12th house moon, it could have to do with like a mother who was not that present, right? Didn't meet your needs, was weak, not present, and just issues with the mother. Like maybe you guys just like see life completely differently. Maybe she's like anti-spirituality and anti everything that you stand for, and you feel like you're like walking on eggshells when you're like dealing with her, right? But what I'm telling you is that when I see this and I talk to people, and I use my intuition and I've even like seen this type of thing like through a psychic's view. A lot of the times it's a back and forth, a karmic back and forth between like when there's this type of this type of thing in the chart, right? And a lot of times also like with the Pluto down there, we want to bury that shit. We don't want that to affect us because we're Pisces sun. Like we understand our greatness, and we have with you your North Node in the 10th house, there's this real like a desire to kind of move towards stability in this lifetime and move away from like lifetimes of just like craziness, right? Of trauma, right? Of like past life. It's like you're literally like past life regressions could be very healing if you're someone who's easily hypnotizable, because like I can't get hypnotized for shit, but like yeah, they can really like getting in touch with this with those energies, like soul, like the shaman stuff. I think you said something to me about shaman stuff, soul retrieval, because it's really deeply buried. And vertex, as I was saying, of course there's romantic implications there. We can start with those. The fact that like just being part of that fourth house, that that the romance will play a role in the healing. Also that there will be like more of like a dramatic, intense kind of like I think of the vertex as like multiple things. I think about it, it's like on one hand it's like your ascendant that you have in relationships, right? So it's like a second ascendant. So in Scorpio, it's like like by yourself, like when you're just around, you're a Leo rising, that fun loving, gregarious, all that we associate with like passionate, all the Leo energy. But then in relationships, it becomes a lot more intense. We'll explore like more of that energy. But the door, like I also think of like the vertex as like a door, like a spiritual like metaphoric doorway to higher awareness, right? And in this case, conjunct the IC, I think that your doorway to higher awareness in Scorpio is through these like really like intense, like risky, like very risky death, rebirth, and like the whole archetype of the Scorpio, like Pluto, death, rebirth, and transformations that you allow yourself, maybe even through relationships, to embark on, right? Okay. Yeah. One sec. Now, that's just one part of the chart. But yeah, Pluto on the IC, it's one of the toughest things in all astrology, let's be real. because it's just so, this seething pool of darkness. And it's and like you're like me, like this is a synchronicity that you chose me to do this chart, because I can relate to you. I wrote in my book, Pisces Live 9 Lives, that I always felt like, and you might resonate with this, maybe you won't, because you have it square your moon, I have it square Venus. So like for me, like I have Saturn on the IC, right? Or excuse me, Pluto on the IC, and then I have my North Node and South Node squaring it, but then I have Venus conjunct my North Node. So it's kind of, and my North Node's in the 7th house. So it's kind of saying how like love and partnership is kind of like, and like balancing those out is kind of my way out of it. But for you, it's really related to the, to like, it's almost like it's asking you to be your own mother in this lifetime, to be your own nurturer, but also to find some kind of like accord, some kind of peace and love, with your mother, right? Which of course, like there can always be boundaries around that kind of thing, right? Doesn't mean that you guys have to be best friends, and maybe you guys have moved past a lot. Like me and my dad, I'll keep it real, I'll keep it a buck for a second. Like, a lot, like I always thought, like I wrote in my book, I always thought like, damn, like everyone's telling me I have all this trauma around my dad. He was a little bit of unfair to me and my brother, kind of favoring my brother, but he's always a good dad, at the end of the day, right? He loved us, he cared about us. He my parents got divorced when I was pretty young, but my dad was still loves us and loved us, but like there's like I always was throwing it onto me that like this was always related to my dad, right? But then when I started to understand astrology, right? I saw the south node like squaring the Pluto on the IC. I realized, oh, I had this big aha moment where I was like, wait, and this is like similar to you, where it's like maybe all of these like this trauma and this, like I had like a drug issue. I was addicted to Xanax. I had to go to rehab, which kind of like started. It's all in the book, but like it kind of started this whole like journey, right? Spiritual journey. Not alcohol, just FYI, kombucha. I have to tell everyone that I have them for like every reading. But yeah, like I basically like had like realized like, wait, maybe this trauma isn't like all from this lifetime. Maybe it was mimicked in this lifetime, but it's past life trauma. So that's like kind of what I see in your chart. And the vertex to me, it's kind of like this it's saying that you can really be like, your doorway to higher awareness is by really confronting that. But because it's so unconscious and so hidden, many people who have this placement, like who aren't, like I had like a semi client, she was like a business partner of one of my clients. I did their chart. I kind of did some like mediating between them, and she had this, and she wasn't really that spiritual into astrology, and she had like drinking issues. It was always like something was wrong inside, and that's kind of like what Pluto on the IC can create. So it's a really, really important one, and it takes like a really deep dive into the emotions to heal that. Which, with the moon in the 12th house, Cancer, there can be an ability to have that, right? I mean, it's not so far fetched with a 29-degree Pisces Sun in the 8th house, which, like me, right, I'm 28 degrees or 29 degrees. It's all about, and you have Jupiter there, which is like the flashlight, to the gates of the unknown and in these unconscious realms. Like it's like this, like a very good thing for a psychologist. It's like, or someone who's like, trying to understand like the truth, the secrets of the world and such. It's like there's this real potential for you to like really, 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 really lean into this and make this healing like a huge part of your life, right? And yeah, so that's the dark part of your chart. Past lives, past life trauma, like South Node in Scorpio could be anything from like, trying to be very controlling and being a very powerful person, right? In past lives, to in this life, North Node Taurus can be about like a need to kind of like go within yourself and find these internal resources, because maybe in past lives you relied too much on like your powerful alliances, or you know, any kind of symbolic form of power, right? But with North Node and Taurus also, there can be a lot of distrust for change, right? And like also because it's ruled by Venus, where Venus is in Aries conjunct Eris, right? So that can make you kind of like Eris conjunct Venus. It can make you pretty explosive person when it comes to love and your love language, and that's not all that Venus is. But Venus in Aries is already like the pursuer, right? It's a person that in love, they go after what they want. They don't wait. They go after, even if they're a female. I know so many females with Venus in Aries, and they're not shy, even if they're double. Maybe the fact that you're double water, will add like kind of that sweetness and that shyness. But usually in love, they go after who they want, right? But the fact that your North Node is ruling that, it could also have to do with creativity. And like, this is what I'm getting at, what I'm sensing is that like there could be this deep need to get into like a deeper, to find like a real like intense creative outlet to get some of this like feeding anger out, right? And you're such a creative person, that goes without saying. I mean, come on, let's be real. That you actually have the same big three as Drake. No, you don't. Oh, sorry, apologize. He's a Scorpio sun, Cancer moon, Leo rising. So, but basically like very similar, right? So it's like that could be an example of someone who you might who's able to kind of take that energy, right? But yeah, with what I was saying, right, with the Venus there, I could see that playing a huge role in your movement forward in this lifetime, and through like that authentic self-expression, which is like literally like what Leo rising is all about. It's about like, I'm gonna be unapologetically myself. I'm gonna like, just go. I'm just gonna do. It's that fire sign. It's obviously I'm a Leo rising. I'm just gonna do, right? But what happens, like kind of back to what I was saying, right? So there's the nice trine between the sun and the moon, right? So like Taurus and Pisces, they get along really well because obviously like they're both feminine energies and they both are very chill energies, right? And they don't they like just like a Pisces Taurus person is the kind of person that like the Taurus moon will keep them very grounded. So it's actually like a really, really good. My friend actually was born on the same day as you, but in 1992, and he has a Taurus moon, and which is interesting. I don't know his ascendant, and yeah, I've noticed in him that he doesn't really feel like a Pisces. He feels more like an Aries, actually, to be honest, which is interesting. But I think that it's the Taurus moon, because Pisces are such a weird sign, right? Especially when it's like on the the very, very cusp, 0.07 away from being Aries. You might take more more traits, right? And that's a very powerful cusp to be on, between water and fire, right? Like I know it, I have that cusp, and it can make one very dynamic and make one really have like a real mix of that Piscean intuition, right? The Piscean intuition and compassion, but with a lot more willpower and assertiveness than a lot of Pisces have, which can be very wishy-washy at times. And I love your Jupiter in the 8th house, by the way. Like that's like pure psychic. Like you should be doing something with that gift type energy, right? Now, when it comes back to should I go to the 10th house? Hold on one second. Yeah, so when it comes back to like the fact that we're dealing with the big three, we had the Leo. I need to check something really quick. Okay, my girlfriend's having like some crazy fucked up day, like trying to get back to Romania from Italy. So like she took a bus, but like the bus is like the most fucked up bus. like they like had to wait for like 7 hours, like at this like random gas station. Like it's just like fucked up. She's not even close to home. She's supposed to be home like literally like 12 hours ago. But yeah, so essentially like the Leo rising, I think, will help, because it makes your sun, your chart ruled by your sun. It's going to make everything with the 8th house really important. I mean, you see me, I'm Leo rising with a Pisces sun, like you. So, it can make you kind of like shine in very hidden ways, right? So obviously the esoteric, the occult, those are like naturals for you, and Leo is, so you could be someone who is like very, very, very similar to me in a lot of ways. Like we have a lot of similarities. Which, by the way, in our follow-up, we can talk about a group, that might be good for you. But you'll have to remind me. I wish I could like do a good like wink. I think I just did it okay one. I can't do it. But yeah, so that's kind of like what I'm seeing from that standpoint. Like the Leo gives that push forward. But the Cancer moon, like overcoming that it's pretty much like the most important part of your chart. And that's why like there's not that many like really, really intense. I mean, okay, yeah, like aspects. I mean, yeah, you have your moon, square Neptune, Uranus square Mercury, Venus. Yeah, so it's like Sun in Pisces square Neptune. Okay, so that is very interesting because that already being Sun is ruled by Neptune, obviously, right? And this is one of those squares where it's like it's because you're a cusper, it's in a sign, it's in Capricorn. So it's like I count those as less powerful squares, but still I have to talk about the fact that Sun square Neptune can be the individual who already is a Pisces. There's that the need to spend a lot of alone time and to really watch out for people who try to take advantage of you. There can be this misunderstanding, this like issues with self-esteem. Also the combust Mercury retrograde. So you have nailed Mercury retrograde, right? Square Mars and square Uranus. So you might be like a hidden a hidden. I don't like to use the word genius, but like you might be like a very, very intelligent person, but that intelligence is extremely hidden because the 8th house hides everything, right? And the fact that it's, so I'm kind of bouncing around here. I'll get back to the Sun square Neptune, but really, I can just say it. The Sun square Neptune, it can just add more of that disillusionment, more of that potential to not see yourself clearly. Probably would have. It's probably stuff you've worked on already as a Pisces, and with the 12th house moon, all the work that you've likely done. I mean, there's a reason you've had many readings, right? Because you're really, really interested in this stuff, and maybe this is something that you're interested. I don't know. Maybe you are an astrologer. You have a chart of one, or like a psychologist or something like that. But yeah. So that's definitely one thing. Now yes, self I'll say like fooling yourself, like watching out for fooling yourself, right? And kind of over idealizing some people and then putting some people lower, and then also like just like self-sabotage and fooling yourself in situations. And it could also, even though it's not the moon, it could also represent like this very, very deep empathy that can sometimes be to your own detriment. And there's like with your chart, there's this real need, obviously, to learn how to, like, you can be so in tuned as an 8th house Sun, 12th house moon, like so, like your potential for a healer is like 100 out of 100. But then what can happen is that people like that, sometimes they just can't handle, because they have so much empathy that they just cannot handle like seeing someone else's pain, right? They just can't, like, and they try. So learning philosophy, right? Which we go back to your Sagittarius energy, right? Different philosophies, different worldviews, right? Exploring, you can start to see like things from a different viewpoint that can maybe make it easier. Like, for example, like if you see someone suffering, right? And that's all you see. You might have a certain opinion, oh fuck, that's so sad, and like all your emotions will come and all that sadness. But then if you look at it from like, okay, maybe there's some karma here, you know, maybe there's like a karmic perspective of like, you know, maybe like, yeah, it's fucked up, but maybe like this is like something that was given like from the person who received in this lifetime, given in a past lifetime. We don't know, right? So it's like broadening yourself with that Sagittarian part of your chart with you know, Mars conjunct, you know, Uranus and Saturn there too, like Juno, part of fortune, like that is a very, very interesting part. But yeah, so okay, back so to the Mercury retrograde. Okay, Mercury retrograde, you know, represents someone who, and your Mercury's combust, right? So but I'll get into that in a little bit. But overall, um like Mercury retrograde people, it's like from a past life perspective, I always think of it as like someone who either said too much or said too little, or thought like too high or thought too low. Like there's some karmic need. There's some karmic need to reevaluate kind of how you think, and it can make someone like a little bit shy, a little bit reserved, like over analytical. You know, already having like the water signs. You know, a lot of people like that, like are a bit shy. I mean, obviously Leo rising, no, but that it can have that effect, and especially like the first, like until like the Saturn return around that time. But with that said, it can create someone who's super smart, and like, but they internalize a lot of like what they learn. So like the fact that it's square Uranus, like maybe like there was like you know, like you're very, very rebellious in terms of like what you're interested in, right? And it might go completely at odds with like your family or, you know, whoever. And it's square Mars too, but it's an exact square, like literally like exact 0.06 away with Uranus. You know, that's a very, very key one, right? So it's like you know, Mercury and Uranus in a square from the 8th to the 5th. It's like it's yeah, it's like Uranus is the great liberator, Mercury in Pisces, because we have to talk about like the fact that you know, like the combust nature, like it's kind of hard to even explain, like the Mercury combust sun. Like it can have issues in my experience with people like truly being able to like express themselves. Like the sun literally burns the Mercury, right? So it can be an issue. But you know, yeah, there can be like frustration in the area of like getting your opinions and voicing and having your voice be heard. And because your voice, it's square Uranus, you'll have a very rebellious and eccentric way of seeing the world that can be very, very genius. That's why I say it's the hidden genius. So I just had like a chart that's similar to this, where it's like, sorry, Esme, it's like imagine like the frustration of like knowing all these things, but having people around you who, because Mercury in Pisces, like it's not the best at like explaining itself, right? It's not the best at arguing. So you know, it can create someone where there's lots of frustration in that sense, right? Lots of frustration and the inability to like, yeah, really fully you know, like express your different way of thinking and communicating. So with the retrograde, it's going to make it can kind of push some of that in, right? And especially like in the first kind of part of life, you know, it makes someone like really what's the word? Yeah, very over, like analytical, sometimes over analytical, to where they're really trying to it's almost like they expand themselves intellectually from within. So instead of having these like outward conversations, it's way more like researching on their own, you know, Like, and maybe there can be issues in like in joining groups and finding and having trust, right? Because your Chiron is in 11th house it's 11th house in Gemini. That speaks to like, you having pain around friends, and when you try to speak your truth, when you try to be yourself, how different pain can come up, right? And it can make it like difficult to really want to face that. So like the Mercury retrograde, it can turn the mind inward, and make one kind of go consistently like going over prior events and lessons, and yeah, like really like a subconscious based thought process where you're like a lot of things are very subconscious, which makes it super important. Esme, just come sit in my lap. Like super important to like like do artistic type things like journal, and and also like it speaks to like your learning process being a lot different, right? Like very 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 right brain, right? So like if you were like in an early schooling environment where you're forced to learn a very like centralized a very like a type of way that was very much everyone, very Capricornian, we could say, right? That could be difficult, right? And especially as a Pisces with so much within the Cancer moon, so sensitive, if there was any like negativity thrown your way for just being different, for thinking different, for seeing the world different, which is like the genius aspect of you, which is showing like you're an advanced soul, right? There can be lots of pain there. So yeah, some people with Mercury retrograde, they're in the 8th house. Like I said, it's hidden, so it can be like a hidden, very very smart person, but the parents might not see it, which can be super frustrating. It can make someone feel unseen by their own parents, and especially with the thing I said about your mom. So this is why I always like advocate for like doing your kids' charts, right? And because like what if they have a Mercury? I need to add that to something really quickly. If they have Mercury, like imagine and I don't know, maybe 1 second. Yeah, I need to add this. Like what, like how it could have been. Like I don't know. Like maybe it wasn't like that. Okay. Like what if they had what if your parents knew that you had natal Mercury retrograde? Like how much of a difference would that have been? Like maybe they would have like realized she's in square Uranus. Like what if they understood the importance of that, the meaning of that, which I'll get into in a sec. Like maybe they would have sent you to a different type of school. Maybe they would have had different conversations with your teachers, right? It can really really change the outcome, which is why I'm trying to get as many parents as possible to, which they're listening to me, but to do I mean, it's the best thing you can do as a parent. One of the best things is to get your chart done, to truly understand your kid on a deeper level, on a deeper spiritual level, like who they are and who they're becoming, who they're meant to become, and be able to do your best job parenting. So yeah. So okay, so some of the drawbacks of like the Uranus aspect, or like what I've seen is like there can be like this kind of ADHD energy sometimes, like where there's like trouble listening and just spouting things out, like lots of overexcitement, because with this chart, it can create someone who might be like more like obviously more introverted, duh. So when they do get the chance to really communicate their true self, there can be issues with the communication, and being very very easily distracted, which once again can make someone like score lower on like standardized tests, and then make them think, because Chiron and Gemini, usually there's pain around thinking that either your brain or your way of communication, like there's something wrong with it, right? But now in this part of your life, actually I don't know exactly when, you start to learn, no way, it's actually a superpower. I actually have this amazing intuition, this amazing ability to see like what like very few people see, right? And to live a life of meaning where I actually understand that it's not just you live and you die and that's it. Like imagine like how most people like think that, and you feel, you don't even understand, you're with God, right? You have 29 Pisces. That's like endless imagination. That's the last degree of the zodiac. And I gotta say, 29 degrees is like a very, it's such a karmic, like your life is about such karmic completions. 29 degrees of any sign. So especially of the last sign, like, I mean, I don't know, it could be your last lifetime or one of your last lifetimes where you're really trying to, like maybe even came down to help like one individual, or maybe it's like karma with one individual, you never know. And yeah, there can be like lots of controversy with that square, Uranus, and yeah, it can make someone kind of offend like more traditional people. It can make someone like a prankster, like a teaser, someone who wants to like shock people, and it can be quite argumentative also. And yeah, on a relationship standpoint, it can create difficulty like keeping long-term relationships. Like there can be lots of shocks and surprises. So and very, very drawn to like the new, right? But I love it because there's always like a really like interesting sense of humor, which like there's yeah, like Uranus and Mercury like can create comedians, anything that's like inventive, right? Like a scientist, designer, whatever, inventor. And also like anything in your case, like in astrology, right? And numerology, any occult subjects, right? So and you could be the kind of person, because Uranus rules like computers and technology, that is able to like gain through the internet. So yeah, interesting stuff. But yeah, I think like with the combust aspect is that sometimes people have issues separating themselves, like so like they can have issues separating themselves from their mind, and they can take too much of their ego from their mind, if that makes sense, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and flash your chart again, just to gotta do it at least a few times. So you see we're dealing with this over here, but the Jupiter is going to make things a lot better in that area. And Jupiter in Pisces is the ultimate compassion. So, like to undo like the difficult karma is to have a life of service, and to just like literally think of your life. And you might already do this. Remember, I do these the same way for someone that does, like, for someone who's never had a reading, as for someone who's had a reading. But yeah, like having a life of selfless service can be like the best thing possible. Okay, enough of the chart. So so yeah, the Chiron there, I mean, it's major. So yeah, the eighth house, the Pisces energy, the eighth house, I see lots of good. And being able to kind of learn your communication style, and it's probably something that you're an expert at this point in your life, but you probably had struggles early. And we can talk about that in the follow-up. Make sure you take notes so I know, I remember these things. Okay. So, the fact that Chiron's there in the 11th, I kind of talked about how that's like, Chiron Gemini, the pain around, like I said before, like am I smart enough? Like, am I stupid? Is there something wrong with the way I think, the way I speak, blah, 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 blah. And then in 11th house, like, can I really trust my friends? Can I really trust the group, like the groups of people I'm part of? So yeah. Now, then there's that 5th house. You can't avoid it. Now, the 5th house is the house of Leo, the house of creativity, of the inner child, authentic self-expression, which obviously, being a Leo rising, you're going to have that in abundance. And, having Mars there, it's going to make someone who's very, with conjunct Uranus, this is very interesting, right? Because we saw the square, but then Mars is conjunct it, right? So okay, I didn't say about Mercury square Mars and Sun square Mars, right? And even why does it not show me? Hold up. It doesn't even show me Sun square Uranus, which you have. Like, why is it not showing me that? So yeah, like you're such an individual type of person, such an eccentric type of person that, you know, maybe where you're from is more traditional. You're from where? Puerto Rico. Like, I don't know how it is there. I know a little bit about it, but like, you know, I don't want to project my own limited beliefs on what it's like in Puerto Rico. But the person who's very like super rebellious, basically, right? The person who doesn't want to fucking live the life that they've seen like everyone in their family live, like you know, generation after generation. Like they want to be the changer, the one who stops it, right? They're here to stop potentially generational trauma. That's what I see with this Pluto down here too, right? You know, the one who's here to face that energy head on because it's so linked to their karma. It's fucking crazy stuff, right? Now, with the fifth house, I gotta say that after 30, it would have gotten a lot easier for you to express yourself. And there must have been a lot of frustration as a Leo rising to have Saturn chilling in the fifth house, because, you know, Saturn in the fifth house can kind of, it can make it difficult to have children. I have to say that until like after 30. But two, it can make it difficult for one to express themselves, for one to like truly have fun, right? Like just like let go and have fun. So, but that's not the whole story, right? Because with this conjunction, I know I'm like showing my cursor, but you can't see it. You know, that is like a very dynamic energy. Uranus, Mars together, think of like a volcanic eruption. I mean, that's more Mars, Pluto, but it's like a thunder volcano, a thunder volcano. Well, you're Mercury and Pisces, so you understand my weird way of talking. Like I can like say that shit, and you're like, okay, yeah, thunder volcano. I kind of get what the fuck you're saying. Just like, you know, very, very impulsive energy, which for a very sensitive person, I see controversy in your chart, right? And I'm sensing this individual who is so sweet, has the largest heart in the world, but who just, I kind of have this in common with you because I've got this like Aquarius energy too. Just want to fucking like, just want to like fuck what people think, you know? Like just want to tell the world, like, look, this is like what I believe in. And, you know, if you like, you know, and it can be difficult when young because like you've spent so much of your energy learning, right? And when other people are closed-minded, you might be like, what the fuck? Like, why are you not like even giving this a chance, right? 29-degree Pisces, like, man, so you're overcoming so much karma in this lifetime. And that will be definitely interesting to hear about. And also your Black Moon Lilith at 29 degrees, right? So it's like, you know, in Taurus. So which is the same sign as your north node. We'll talk about that after this what we're doing now with the Sag house. Because yeah, fifth house ruled by Sag. You know, I had that too, right? Because I'm a Leo rising, so my moon's there. It's a very fun place to have. You know, like it's good. That's one of the things that's really cool about Leo rising is that the fifth house is Sag. So you're able to have fun, but the Saturn kind of blocked it till like 30. Not that you couldn't have any fun before 30, but more serious when it comes to like comes to that. But it could create someone who, you know, and especially with the Mercury retrograde, who like maybe overthinks things, but who might like have taken a very early interest to, you know, even traveling with the Venus in the ninth house, right? And you might be someone who falls in love and marries someone of a different culture. I know you probably know that already. But ultimately, like, you know, there is this like this mix, this like split in your chart of like impulsive energy and very like kind of like emotional, spiritual, compassion energy, and they both intertwine. They work with each other, and I believe that lots of like difficulties in your life have come from when that energy of like the Mars Mars square Mercury, which is like, you know, when there's like you kind of you can be very impulsive with your speech and just say things like like fuck, like what did I say? And with the sun, it's like fuck, what did I do? There can be like temper tantrums, and it can kind of make someone like a fighter, right? And this is the thing, you need to have a physical outlet, like outlet for this chart is like, I mean, and the amount of charts I use the word outlet, it's a lot. But in yours, I mean, we're similar. Where would I be if I didn't have astrology? You know, like, because with Pisces, there's that escapist tendency. There's a need to find that healthy escape, right? Sometimes it takes a long time. But with Mars, conjunct Uranus, or excuse me, Uranus, like you're gonna have this pull in your creative pursuits towards things that at the same time are helping you find that higher truth, which is very linked. It's different, but it's like the eighth house sun also wants to get underneath the surface of humanity, and underneath like the surface, and like really understand like the real interesting shit, like what really happens in the world, why we're here, where we're going, where we came from, those kind of questions, right? But then there's the Sag, which is also like, that it's similar. It's looking for that higher philosophy. But Uranus, in Sag, or Mars in Sag conjunct Uranus in the fifth. I mean, that's like really, really creative energy. But also it can become quite frustrated, right? It's so rebellious that you might be someone who's rebellious to a fault. Now think about what I said there. Rebellious to a fault. What I mean by that is that there's such a tendency and a instinct to rebel that even when, like, let's say there's choice A and choice B. Even when choice A is clearly better for you, you might, let's say, choose or have chosen, because lots of people get past squares and they become superpowers in their mid-20s, right? Or like when they start to grow spiritually, like whatever. But like you may have chosen like the more difficult one, or the bad one that's more risky, right? That's the thing with Mars and Uranus. It's like super risk behavior. Like you have to watch out. You might have chosen that just because it was more fun, and just because it was more rebellious, and maybe just because it pissed off one of your parents or both your parents more. Like, let's be real. Let's just say it. Eighth house Jupiter is really awesome for your inheritances. Let's just put it out there. It's out. It's out. No more said. And for benefiting from other people's money, marrying, wealthy, things like that. So. Yeah. So it's interesting how that is in the same house as Juno, which I'll talk about in a second. But then also how Saturn's there, right? And kind of I feel like Saturn there. So this is interesting. I feel like Saturn is kind of keeping you in check in that situation, right? And then maybe like once you like got past your Saturn return, which was what, like a few years ago. Yeah. Maybe that's when you just were like, all right, I'm gonna be like, you were really able to find that authentic self, that real, just like, I do not give a fuck what people think. And I said fuck because I meant fuck, right? Yeah. So one thing I want to add about like the sun and Mercury when they're when they're not like Kazemi, right? When they're like what's the word that I can't think of? They literally just said a million fucking times. When they are combust, is that sometimes people can be like blind to their own faults, and sometimes a little bit self-absorbed and blind to their own flaws and faults, right? Where they can be like overly proud of themselves and really love to talk about themselves, but the fact that like, and very, very not good listeners. That's like a thing that I've seen in your chart, like potentially not being a very good listener. But it's Mercury retrograde. So that's actually, in this weird situation, going to actually help you. So yeah, 1 second. Yeah, because the sun is burning up the Mercury, right? So the mind is not as clear. And it can lack, I'm looking through my notes to find something I'm looking for. It can lack objectivity and have skewed views. Like some people are like, oh, if you have Sun conjunct Mercury, like it's the best thing ever. But no, it takes actually a lot more self-control. But because you have Mercury retrograde, it's actually a blessing because it makes you more introverted and more thinking about like, wait, like am I thinking like why do I think like this? And why is my thought process like this? Right? And that's actually helping you because if you didn't, if your Mercury was direct in your birth chart, it would be way more difficult for you. Way more difficult. Difficult. 1 sec. And it's not that people that have this can't be geniuses. Like it can happen. In your case, like I think that like it's actually probably potentially like that there is that energy for you, right? Because like usually like when like for the Sun and Mercury, like I have this like exact just about when it's under 0.17, Sun and Mercury like together under 0.17, that's called a Kazemi, as you probably know, and that can create like a genius or someone like with a very high like mental whatever. Combust can be a bit difficult, but because you have it retrograde, because of everything I said, and because Jupiter is in the same house, I like it. I definitely want to hear more about how that works. All right, so love stuff. We talked kind of about around it. Like a go-getter in love, probably attracted to men from different or men or women, whatever. I can't like guess these days. Of different cultures. You're looking for like someone who's a nurturer, someone who can really meet your emotional needs, and see you in whatever mood you're in, because there can be some self-sabotaging with the position, and just having someone who that they don't have to have a certain sign or anything. They just have to be able to to see you and to really like sit there. Maybe like having some earth in their chart might be good, right? Because you or some air, because you have earth moon, so you lack air, right? And then also you have Palace in the 12th too, right? So I think you want me to like look at those ones. And that's just like giving someone like an ability to really understand, communicate spiritual teachings. And it's very good for wisdom in that area. And in Cancer, it creates someone who's very intuitive. You're relying on your emotions to guide your opinions and your thoughts. And it's also very good for being a very empathetic listener, right? So that's kind of that. And while I'm at it, I might as well talk about Ceres, right? In the second house in Virgo, right? And that makes someone who's who even with Virgo ruling the second and Mercury in the 8th can be quite generous with their possessions and their money. And it can make someone who wants to like buy like pamper themselves to luxurious items. But like you have to watch out for being like too attached to material things, which I don't see as like a big issue in your chart, obviously with the Pisces, which Pisces can be very materialistic sometimes. You never know. I've seen it a lot actually. And then seriously in Virgo, like I think like you feel cared for when you're like you feel cared for when like people are helping you like perfect your skills, like people are helping you with the things that you really care about. And then also when you're a service to people, right? When you're a service to humanity. Now I guess I'll just go clockwise. So yeah, I talked about the fourth house, Pluto there, you know, obviously it's really just stating like someone who just like they're, let me bust my old Pluto book out that I always reference. Oh, I fell right on 4. So Pluto in the 4th, start of a new cycle, which literally there's like the start of a new cycle and there's the end of the sun cycle. And it relates to the experience of emotional security. The soul's intention here is to generate security in response to excessive, this is all my handwriting from a few years ago, by the way, is to generate security in response to excessive attachment to external sources of security, such as lovers, parents, and family, work, or ideological concerns. It may indicate a situation where one or both parents have complicated karmic backstories, conjunct the South Node, with the individual, perhaps in cycles of letting each other down. Literally, you can't make this stuff up. I literally said this at the start of the reading. Of a cycle of letting each other down, or through some kind of collective, familial, tribal event in which the family was lost to each other, thereby fostering an ongoing unconscious insecurity. Come on. Like, you know that's real now that it's been shown like 2 times. Or like I said it earlier in that now, like there's cycles. If it's your mom, it could be the dad, whoever the weaker parent is. It's cycles. It's cycles, right? And maybe it's both parents. So in the 8th house, you never know. So similar to mine, I wrote this bonus. Pluto is emotional undercurrent. So early childhood experiences which show up as transference dynamics in, okay, it's super important for relationships. So it's early childhood experiences which show up as transference dynamics in later intimate relationships, like with lovers, best friends, whatever, therapists. And these are what contain the keys to prior life dynamics. So like how you relate, right, in your relationships, like the ways you get triggered, the dynamics that come across in these relationships, these really close relationships where you're able to get mirrored. Those give the clues to the prior life dynamics. The strong feelings that are elicited from close adult relationships hold the key to intense childhood feelings, which, if understood with a certain openness and depth, lead directly back to the experiential level of prior life dynamics. And usually, like I said before, emotional needs were not met in childhood. So a little bit more info about that. So part of fortune, you know, in the 5th in Sag, it kind of is basically saying like part of fortune, I think of like a very beautiful part of the chart. And in the 5th, it's just basically saying that for you, like you get a lot of joy out of creating, out of like letting yourself go creatively. Very good. And when you're able to do it like in a structured way, maybe when it's like related to your, you know, to to your work, right? When you're able to like through your work be creative. And in Sag, like that could speak to like, you know, just this adventurous spirit and really experiencing joy when you're able to be on the run and traveling and learning, and this whole energy of like of you wanting to be someone that learns this kind of different type of information, right? That leads you to a closer understanding of the divine and all that. You're on a very different course, which is like why, you know, we'll talk in the follow-up about potentially having you you know, be a part of something that I've started that's very close to my heart. So then also, you know, with that said, Juno, which is like an asteroid I look at a lot, that I believe, like the way I look at Juno is like it's like your ideal partner, right? So I told you the Venus you value is kind of like dating. Juno's like marriage. So, you know, you'll definitely like the kind of like Venus in areas like the more kind of like you know, like in your descendants in Aquarius. So definitely like a level of independence that someone has, but also that's given to you. You're going to be someone that loves freedom. So there's the Cancer moon part of yourself. That has to be met, right? There has to be like a close emotional bond, like when the time comes, when that's needed. But as a Pisces like myself, you're going to need a lot of alone time, especially as a 12th house moon. And if you have someone that's on your ass 24/7, oh, why don't you spend enough alone time with me? Like you are a mystic, so you need alone time. And if someone doesn't understand that, you know, honestly, it's not going to work. You know, and it can take time for them to understand. One sec. One second, sorry. One second. Okay. So yeah, with that Sag energy, you know, or excuse me, with that Pluto Sag energy, that is basically saying that you're really going to be attracted to someone. It's conjunct Uranus, so it's another indication of like what I was just saying, of a very different kind of person. Someone who is very philosophical, who's very creative, who is very adventurous, who's you know who beats the beat of their own drum. They don't give a fuck about what other people think. They're just like kind of like you, like, and maybe they don't have to be exactly like you, but like they understand you on that level. They give you that space. They give you the space to kind of like to kind of work, right? And I don't know why I just said the thing about I just for some reason it keeps showing me the moon is in Cancer, not Taurus. Like I think I just said something about Taurus before. No, you don't have that energy, right? So there's fire. There is lots of fire and lots of water, and that's it. You're like me. But and then yeah, fire. And is there any? This is so confusing. These fucking colors, like they just changed. Like I don't know what's going on. Yeah. So you don't have air or earth, personal planets. So yeah. So backtracking, I was talking about like yeah, maybe someone with some earth, because earth is grounding, and having someone, like Virgo is a sign that can be very, very good for Pisces people, because it can really like create that container, like a spiritual Virgo person, right? Or it's the opposite sign of Pisces, and it can really like kind of give that be like, you need someone who's like your rock, right? But also not a boring motherfucking Virgo. And I'm not saying a Virgo, just like someone who's like at the same time able to like really respect. But like if you have someone like two people that have no earth, like me and my girlfriend, it can be really difficult, right? But like also it can be very magical. It can be very up and down because neither of you guys are really the rock. But yeah, like it can be very fun. So that's kind of the thing with romance. It's very, very hard to predict like exactly like what kind of person you need. But with what I'm seeing, there's 100% like you couldn't be with someone who rejects that part of you, that fun, eccentric, like go with what I want to go with part of you, right? And your Mars is conjunct the galactic center, so like that's even more. That's a very, very spiritual placement, right? The galactic center is yeah, so it speaks for itself. It's gonna give you this push towards like being interested in studying occult and esoteric subjects, right? And yeah, really like even more of that truth seeking. So that's massive. So where was I? And like yeah, more with like the Mars and Uranus, it's like it's very, very creative. Like it gives like a super interesting person who has like amazing creative talents. So like that's when I said like you got to take advantage. Like I feel so like people like I did a chart a while ago and she didn't get a follow up. It was a great reading. And she had like all this amazing like creative energy, and she was like, I'm not an artist. And I just like felt this sadness, just from the way she said it to me. I just was or like she's, I don't know if she said I'm not an artist, was like it was something like I don't like do art, or I'm not creative, or like it was something like that. And I was just like, oh man, you are, like this doesn't lie. So yeah, and there's a need with Mars and Uranus to act without like restriction. very independent person, so like if you feel held back by someone, like it's the rebel. I talked enough about it, right? There can be like a volcanic explosion. Like there's this, like that's why you need to have like the physical, like working out, something like that. Because like you can have like this explosive volcanic energy. So yeah, it's like raw creative genius energy that you needs to find an outlet. So and like it's good for popularity, this one, like because you'll just be the one who's like different, but it's like people will find it interesting. Now yeah, like 12th house moon, of course, like we can talk more about that, but it can be like repressed emotions. It's by itself, so it's very, 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 very telling of like a relationship with the mother. Talked about this. I mean, Eris, like conjunct Venus, like in the 9th house. That's a good spot to have Eris at, because it's just going to give you like these very strong opinions. Like so you can like debate things that you really care about, even though I said some of the things about the Mercury like being more retrograde, so it kind of push that away, and it's conjunct Venus, so it's gonna be, even though it's in Aries, like if you had like my girlfriend, for example, Moon in Aries conjunct Eris, she's a fucking like firecracker. That's a way more difficult position. Let's see what she said, by the way. So for you, it's Venus. One second. We arrive Sunday. This is a fucking joke. What the fuck? This is crazy. How? Okay, just a quick break. Right. So it's Thursday. She took a bus from Italy that was supposed to take 10 hours. It's been 24 hours. It's Friday morning, and they're saying that it won't arrive till Sunday. Whew. That's fucked. It's unacceptable. That's so fucked up. And of course, I have to fucking handle this shit. But anyways, yeah. So anyways, back to your chart. That's definitely like in terms of the kind of man, it's definitely like that openness, right? Like I don't want to say like open relationship, because like the water, runs deep, but definitely someone who you have that intellectual philosophical connection with, right? Very important stuff. And descendant Aquarius, you'll need lots of freedom and space in your relationships. Now, okay, so yeah, I think I've gone over the planets. Now I need it. Oh yeah, Black Moon Lilith in Taurus. All right, so that is basically, every time I've seen that, it's like someone who in some way needs to like get better at taking risks. I mean, that's just like what it is. And it might be, in your case, a higher level of that because it's 29 degrees. But who, like, there's like I would ask you the question, you can tell me the answer when we talk. In what area of life do you feel like you're kind of held back in? Like, do you feel like you're kind of like how do you say it? Like you haven't let go enough. That's what I'm trying to say. Like where you haven't let go enough. Like where there hasn't been enough surrender to like the divine, and to just like the oneness that is Pisces, right? Of like knowing that like when you're working your hardest, because Pisces can also be the dreamer that doesn't accomplish anything, right? We know that about Pisces. And like I was saying with your Pluto thing, like opposite, the MC and the nodes, it's like, like there's past like trauma that if it's not dealt with can create lots of internal shame. You have no idea where the fuck it comes from. So there's lots of deep work that needs to be done. So yeah. Okay, let me pull something up. Okay, so yeah, so the Mars on the galactic center. Okay, nothing there. You have, okay, that there. Okay. It's scat. So you have scat conjunct your sun. We just had these in while that's kind of a difficult one. Let's just see what's going on here. I already talked about the galactic center. 2217, 2215. Markab is pretty much pretty close to your. It's like one degree, a little bit more 1 degree from the Mercury. So when you have Markab conjunct Mercury, it's good mind, rash and headstrong, quick in speech, diplomatic, capable writer, criticize friends from enemies. And by the way, like besides like the main fixed stars, I'm still learning about these. So, I find the ones that I know are like important. And yeah. And I try to find information. So scat, let's see. Where the fuck is the information about scat? I know it's like a difficult one to have, but where is it? Okay, so yeah, so with a sun, danger through water and engines. So watch out for drowning. So it can have issues. But it's conjunct your sun, so it's not gonna be like as bad as like it's not gonna play a very big role like it would if it was conjunct like Saturn or something. Okay, so speaking of that, Saturn, let's just go through it. So 14 Leo. I think it's not 15 Leo because that's a very, very like bad degree. Okay. So you have Dubhe conjunct your ascendant, and it says ascendant wealth, power, courage, generosity, ingenuity, rise to authority, martial success. Okay, so it's all really, really good stuff. Sores and injuries to the face, pains in the head, and fevers. Okay. Also, it says it makes people who are like kind to like animals, like lions and bulls, like very compassionate with animals. The midheaven 13. Okay, yeah, so you have 7. So that's Menkar conjunct the midheaven 13 Taurus. So So Menkar, let's see what Menkar is all about. Let's see, there's enough information. There's such little information online about all these. Trouble through old people, trade losses. So you have to watch out for like issues with who you trust, like in terms of your career. And being screwed over by older people. And then Moon 23 Cancer. Oh yeah, it's around Pollux. So what is Moon Pollux? One day I'll have these all memorized, but it takes time. There's a lot of them. Okay, so let's see here. It just says hatred of the vulgar. And let's see more information about Pollux. Spirited, brave, audacious, cruel, and rash nature. So there is definitely some like kind of dark energy, like malevolent energy in your chart. So it can be good, but it can also like make one have a very rash nature and be a little bit violent and like kind of like combative and stuff. A little headstrong. Now, okay, and that, so 6 and 22, 6 and 22, and then 9 Sag. 22 and 9 Sag, 6 and 22. Where I did the Markab. So let's see here. Oh shit, Antares conjunct your Saturn. What does that mean? So you have that's like the great one of the one great star that you have, but Saturn there. So let's see if there's anything on that. So yeah, it keeps saying like trouble through enemies, like that there can be issues, right? And it says materialistic, and yeah, so yeah, that's an interesting one. That there's but remember the fixed stars are not like they're not. It's not like how far is it? No, show my display points. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, the highest energy of Antares is like the, like I said, it's like the hidden king, you know. But let's see. Yeah. So just keep saying it can make someone materialistic. Saturn. Okay. More info. It says it makes people tough, belligerent, and pugnacious. it's really good for like military stuff. So it can make you like a very, very like badass when it comes to fighting. And you have to be prepared at all times for sudden incidents. I don't want to scare you. Just being careful, especially with all the other energy that we talked about, right? Yeah. So anyways, that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed, or wait, hold up. Nope. Yeah, so hope you enjoyed. Lots of, how long did I go? 125, that's not too bad. I'm trying not to go and do 2-hour readings every time. But yeah, wanted to give you like some real detailed info, dive deep, and we'll have the session to go even deeper, and yeah, like some of the stuff like with Antares and Saturn, like I just don't know. I'm gonna be honest, I just don't know. I mean, there's such little information. Like I have like so many books, like come on, and it's this there's some information that just you can only see what's on there. So yeah, like on the internet, and there's like literally like nothing. There's like one thing. So it's like, I would say, like with all the fixed stars at the end, take it with a grain of salt, and just maybe I can ask my friend more about like Saturn conjunct Antares, and get back to you when we have a follow up. So anyways, let me know when you're ready to schedule a follow up. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it was a reading that you wanted. I did the best I could possibly do. And yeah, talk to you later. Ciao.